Welcome to day 64 and 65 on the CDT. Day 64 was a rest day, but we'll discuss a few specifics. In day 65, I got back on trail. Before we jump into all that, today's shout out is a significant, ginormous shout out to Emily and Zach. Even though those folks are sending me my resupply boxes, they went above and beyond, because they happened to be in the Silverthorne, Dillon area at the same time I was during my rest day. And during my rest day, I spent not all day, I spent half the day going to different gear stores in Silverthorne and Dillon and trying to find a new pack, and was unsuccessful. So this morning, Emily and Zach helped me go to a gear store down the road in Edwards, Colorado, to a gear store that was selling the pack I was looking for. And they took time out of their schedule to drive me down there, wait for me to do a bunch of fitting stuff with the pack, and then they drove me back to the trail. In addition, they took my old pack, they took my ice axe, they took my old rainfly, and a couple of other things that I don't need to carry. And they brought up some items that I do need. So a ginormous shout out to Emily and Zach. Thank you. For a while now, I believe that family is defined by how you treat a person, and Emily and Zach treat me beyond anything that I deserve. So thank you to Emily and Zach. Huge shout out. So day 64, the reason why I spent half the day looking for a new pack is when I was finishing up the hike, like day 62, 63, I noticed that my shoulder strap, my right shoulder strap, that had got damaged in the snow and I had done a couple of sew repair jobs on, it had come loose again because of rain and friction and everything else. And it was just a matter of time before that shoulder strap was going to give. And I needed to get a new pack. I spent yesterday walking around like to REI and various other stores in Dillon and Silverthorne, but nobody was carrying the size of the pack that I needed. And so I essentially returned to my hotel room. I re-sewed that right shoulder strap in case I would have to reuse that pack. And did some internet research on alternate packs and blah blah blah. So it wasn't really a huge rest day or a zero day, because I walked around quite a lot in Silverthorne and Dillon for the pack stuff. I also ran into a situation where REI, I had made an order for some shoes like 2 weeks ago, and the shoes were supposed to be at the Dillon store on the 29th, but they got delayed by a week. So I was able to get new insoles, but I wasn't able to get my new shoes. So I had to get on the phone and have them reroute the shoes to a resupply town a couple stops up. So I'll have to make do with my current shoes. The new insoles definitely help, and hopefully these shoes have about about 200 more miles in them. We'll try to squeeze the best we can. And so I also had to deal with that. And I did some odds and ends at REI, like my Sawyer squeeze, which I use for the water. The one that I had used through New Mexico and most of Colorado, it started acting a little funny. So I didn't want to risk it. So I got a new one of those. My Camelback bladder is older, so I was a bit concerned that eventually it'll rupture. So I decided to kind of preemptively get a new one. The new one actually didn't work out, so I'm still on the old one. So fingers crossed the old one still works. But basically, Silverthorne and Dillon is in the range of size of towns that we visit. It's considered, you know, a large town because it has a lot of amenities, including the REI that a lot of the other towns don't. So I spent my rest day trying to just figure out gear, see what need to be replaced, and it could be big things or small things. Like you know, even though the batteries weren't completely dead on my Spot device, I replaced them just because they had been the batteries since the border, and you know, they've been through a lot of cold nights and that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to make sure, hey, I got fresh batteries. So I did a lot of housekeeping yesterday, not a lot of rest, but I did get all the videos posted up to day 63, and so that's all caught up. And I was able to get some town food because I'd lost a little bit more weight than I wanted to, so I was trying to shove in as many calories as possible. So that was the rest day. Today, day 65, we meaning Emily, Zach, and myself, spent the morning going to a couple of gear stores and getting myself a new pack. So we'll do a gear chat or whatever it's called about my pack and my tent here in the next couple of days. Once I, you know, get an evening where I have a little bit of free time to do so. So because we were running around with the pack stuff, I didn't get back on trail until about 3 o'clock this afternoon. I hiked from 3 to 7. I was able to get just shy of 10 miles. So that's a pretty good pace. We did have some elevation gain right out of off of Highway 9 on the trail, but it wasn't too bad. Like, it was a pretty gradual or moderate ascent. So I was able to make about 2.5 miles per hour, which is a pretty good pace in the Colorado mountains. The new pack it fits all right. I'm gonna have to play around with the straps to get the fit so that it's comfortable. Parts of the hike today it was comfortable, parts of it, like when I was fiddling around, it wasn't comfortable. So I just got to get to a point where the new pack's gonna be comfortable. But I was able to get one that was large enough to fit all my stuff. I am carrying a bit of extra food in this section because I'm expecting about 5 or 5.5 days to finish the 126 miles up to Grand Lake. So I think the pack will also get a little bit comfortable when I get down to like a more normal load of food, like 4.5 to 3.5 days. The weather over the last few days, like day 63, I got a little rain when I was hiking, but then I was waiting for one of the free shuttles in Summit County, and got rained on at, I think, the Frisco transfer station. And then yesterday when I was walking around Silverthorne, it got rained on. So the streak of either getting rained on or having precipitation in the immediate area still holds, because today I was hiking and looked over, and there were some nasty clouds that looked like they were heading this way, and they were dumping precipitation, and thankfully they stayed away. They're still kind of hovering over there, so I think they kind of squatted on that spot. So day 11, day 12, so what is that? 11 out of 13 days I either have been rained on or rain's been in the vicinity. And to be fair, most of those 11 days I actually got rained on. So in the vicinity, I think, may only be like 3 or 4 days. Let's see, I think that's about it video wise today. Tomorrow I'll start some ascents to go over some summits of mountains. I think I want to say the first couple summits are lower, like maybe they may be 12 or maybe low 13,000 feet. 1,000 feet, and then after that we actually get over to the Argentine Pass, and then we'll get over to Mount Edwards, and we'll get over to Gray's Peak, which is, those are high 13ers and 14er. So we're going to start doing a lot of elevation in the next couple of days here. So it's good that I have a new pack, and I'm not worrying about that shoulder strap breaking or the fit, not being snug with my waist belt or hip belt on the old pack, slipping every 30 seconds or 60 seconds. So it was good to get that changed out. I got to get this one dialed in. So Zach asked me how many miles I had on that old pack, the one that I got in 2007. It was an Osprey 8th year. It was 70 liters, and I hiked the Colorado Trail, so about 500 miles. I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail, so about 2,650 miles. I hiked about 1,100 miles on the CDT. So that already gets us to more than 4,000 miles. The pack also went with Charlie and me on the Gallatin Skyline in the backcountry of Yellowstone for a week. It did the Maroon Bells Loop twice, and I've used it off and on for either weekend or multi-day trips, especially, or I should say including, like if I'm going to go hike 3 or 4 14ers in one area, I would hike in with my pack, that 2007 pack, and on the back I would strap my day pack. I would empty my day pack and strap it on the back, and while I was there I'd use the day pack, and then I'd put everything back in that 70 liter 8th year from Osprey. So conservative, that pack probably had about 5,000-ish miles on it over the 15 years. So it won't go in the garbage. I'll put it up on once I get this trip finished and I get a place to live in again. I'll in my gear room I'll put a screw in the wall and hang the pack, and it'll have a nice little place of retirement, because it definitely has some sentimental value since it's been on a lot of almost all of my big trips. Maybe it didn't make it all the way on the CDT, but it at least started out and got me through the first about 1,100 miles. So everyone have a nice evening. Thanks for watching the videos. I uploaded 11 days worth, so there's one in there about bow, answering a question that somebody asked me. There's several in there about 81 miles and 3 days of hiking. There's a few in there about Lake Ann Pass and Hope Pass and the Collegiate West. So if you want to go back and look at those, then you can do so. I think that's it. So have a nice evening, and I'll talk to you folks tomorrow.